Seven of 9. English. View source. Share. 7 of 9. Multiple realities. Covers information from several alternate timelines. Species. Share. Human. Multiple realities. Covers information affiliation from several alternate timelines. Fenris Rangers. Human. Status. Realities. Covers information affiliation active 2399. Fenris. Born. Stardate 25479 2350 Tandera Colony. Father. Magnus Hansen. Mother. Aaron Hansen. Other relatives. Irene Hansen, aunt, Sven Hansen, ancestor. Marital status. Single. Children. 1. Technological progeny via nanoprobes. yftdgfcruyhfgnbvgc. Legal ward. Missouri. Former legal ward. Azen. Former legal ward. Rebbe. Former legal ward. Played by Jerry Ryan, adult. Erica Lynn Bryan, child. Caitlin Peterson, child. 7 redirects here. For the Interstellar Secret Agent, please see Gary 7. My link to the collective has been severed for nearly 4 years. If I die, everything that I have accomplished in that time, everything I achieved as an individual, will be lost. My memories, my experiences. It will be as if I never existed. I think you're a little more memorable than you're giving yourself credit for. You don't need the collective to validate your existence. You've made an impact on every member of this crew. That's your legacy. 7 of 9 and B. Alana Torres, 2377, imperfection. 7 of 9, full designation. 7 of 9, tertiary adjunct of Unimatrix 01, was a former Borg drone, born Annika Hansen, a human female. Assimilated by the Borg at the age of 6, 7 was liberated by the crew of the USS Voyager in 2374. She joined the crew and returned to the Alpha Quadrant with the starship in 2378. After her time on Voyager, she joined the Fenris Rangers, helping instill justice in lawless and dangerous regions of the galaxy. Contents. Early life. Time on the Raven. Life as a Borg drone. USS Voyager. Torn from the collective. Scientific accomplishments. Moral conflicts. Dealings with the Borg. Identity crises. Life in the Alpha Quadrant. Aiding La Serena. Personal development. Relationships. Family. Friendships. Catherine Janeway. Violana Torres. Naomi Wildman. Tuvok. Surrogate motherhood. Icheb. Romance. Oxum. The Doctor. Chakate. Physiology. Alternate 7 of 9. Holograms. Alternate realities and timelines. Miscellaneous. Chronology. Appendices. Appearances. Reference. Background information. Apocrypha. See also. External links. Honest Game trailers. Monster Hunter Rise. Early life. Annika was born in 2350 on stardate 254479 at the Federation Tendera colony, as the only daughter of eccentric exobiologists Magnus and Aaron Hansen. VOY, Dark Frontier. During her childhood, she never visited Earth. VOY, Hunters, her favorite color growing up was red. VOY, The Gift, at the age of 6, Annika once stayed with her Aunt Irene. Her favorite treats were strawberry tarts, which Irene used to coax Annika out of a guest room in which she had locked herself. She was very strong-willed, and did not hesitate to point out if the strawberries used in baking the tarts were not perfectly ripe. VOY, author, at one point in her childhood, she wanted to become a ballerina. VOY, One Small Step. Annika's age when she visited her aunt conflicts with the age she and her parents departed Federation space. Time on the Raven. Annika Hansen aboard the Raven in 2356. Annika's parents were exobiologists investigating the existence of the Borg. After a great deal of persuasion, the Federation granted the Hansens the use of the USS Raven, a small long-range craft, to aid them in their investigation. In 2353, they took Annika, then aged 3, along with them. They spent a good deal of time aboard the Raven in search of the Borg. Annika celebrated 3 birthdays aboard the ship. Eventually, the Hansen encountered a Borg cube, and followed it through its transwarp conduit into the Delta Quadrant, the Borg's region of origin. They gathered a great deal of science data, the biology of Borg drones, and the nature of the collective by moving unaffected through Borg space due to multi-adaptive shielding, invented by Magnus Hansen. They even went aboard Borg vessels, using biodampeners to remain undetected. Their research came to an abrupt end in 2356, when an ion storm struck the Raven. The ship sustained damage, including, most importantly, damage to the multi-adaptive shielding, which went offline for 13.2 seconds. This left them exposed long enough for the Borg to detect them and perceive them as a target for assimilation. The Hansens tried to evade pursuit by masking the Raven's warp trail, but the Borg still managed to pursue and find them. They and their daughter were promptly captured and assimilated near Biomar space. Naturally, the experience was traumatizing for Annika. VOY, The Raven, Dark Frontier. Life as a Borg drone. 7 of 9, Tertiary Adjunct of Unimatrix 01. Annika was placed in a maturation chamber, where the hive mind began to restructure her synaptic pathways and purge her individuality. She emerged as a Borg drone 5 years later in 2361, the turmoil of having been forcibly assimilated replaced with order, and spent the next 13 years in the collective with the designation 7 of 9. As a drone, she assisted in the assimilation of millions, from individuals to entire species. She personally assimilated many individuals from a variety of species, including humans, Klingons, Ferengi, Bajorans, Balians, Krenim, and Cardassians. VOY, Infinite Regress, Collective. In early 2368, 7 of 9, along with 3 other drones in her Unimatrix, crash-landed on a planet in the Delta Quadrant. The other drones, who were assimilated as adults, began to regain their identities upon being severed from the Borg collective, but 7 was frightened as she knew nothing else but life as a drone. She forcibly linked the other drones together into a temporary collective in order to suppress their identities, and they were retrieved soon after. VOY, Survival Instinct, 7 of 9 remained a Borg drone until 2374, when she was liberated. VOY, Scorpion, Part 2, The Gift. USS Voyager. Torn from the collective. Disconnected from the collective. During the brief war between the Borg and Species 8472 in late 2373, the USS Voyager was caught between the two belligerents. Seeking to protect her crew, and being made aware of the extreme threat to the galaxy posed by Species 8472, Captain Catherine Janeway forged an alliance with the Borg, offering them the technology behind modified Borg nanoprobes which could be used as biological photon torpedo warheads against their common enemy, in exchange for safe passage through Borg space and non-assimilation. The collective assigned 7 of 9 to work with Voyager to develop the weapon. When her cube sacrificed itself to save Voyager from an attacking 8472 bioship, she and a small number of drones beamed onto Voyager to continue the work. Janeway was severely injured, leaving her first officer, Commander Chakotay, in command. 7 of 9 wanted Voyager to go to another cube, but Chakotay refused. The drones attempted to commandeer Voyager's navigation systems to take it to the nearest cube, but Chakotay decompressed the deck the drones were on, blowing them into space. 7 of 9, however, managed to remain aboard. Instructed to do so by the collective, she took Voyager into Species 8472's realm, forcing deployment of the modified nanoprobe torpedoes to protect the ship. A recovered Janeway resumed command and reinstated the alliance. The torpedoes proved effective. Now vulnerable, 8472 retreated. However, the collective broke the alliance and 7 of 9 attempted to take Voyager to be assimilated. But this was anticipated, and a contingency plan was successfully enacted which permanently severed her link to the collective. Janeway decided to keep 7 of 9 aboard. VOY, Scorpion, Part 2. 7 confronts Janeway about being separated from the collective. The transition back to humanity was difficult for 7 of 9. She appeared to accept her severance from the collective, but tried to contact it at the first opportunity. She was stopped, however. VOY, The Gift. The Doctor, Voyager's holographic chief medical officer, was able to remove most of her implants and restore most of her human appearance, but her long-term assimilation meant that some parts were vital to her survival and could not be removed. She also refused to be called by her name of Annika Hansen, as 7 of 9 was the designation she had always known. But she accepted a shortened version, 7 at the suggestion of Captain Janeway. VOY, Day of Honor. Shortly after 7 was freed from the collective, Voyager neared a moon in Biomar space, the location of the crashed wreck of the Raven, which had been partially assimilated by the Borg when they caught it. A Borg homing beacon aboard was still active. 7 began experiencing visions of a Raven and flashbacks to the time she was assimilated. The beacon reactivated several of 7's nanoprobes, giving her an irresistible drive to find the source of the beacon. She escaped Voyager in a shuttlecraft and flew to the moon, discovered the ship, and recovered the entire memory of her assimilation. VOY, the Raven. Scientific accomplishments. 7 of 9 at her station on the bridge. During her first few months on Voyager, 7 attempted to help the engineering crew modify the warp drive to generate trans-warp conduits. The efforts failed, and almost cost Voyager its warp core in the process. VOY, Day of Honor. Along with Ensign Harry Kim, 7 of 9 designed and constructed the ship's astrometrics lab, which used Borg technology to plot routes that trimmed several years off of Voyager's journey. The lab became an important asset to Voyager, and was 7's domain for the rest of the journey. VOY, Revulsion, Year of Hell. Using the astrometrics lab, 7 discovered the hydrogen communications network, which allowed Voyager to temporarily receive messages from the Alpha Quadrant. VOY, Hunters, when monthly data streams and, later, real-time communication became possible, 7 helped implement enhancements to Voyager's deflector dish. VOY, Lifeline, Author. 7 developed a technique for using Borg nanoprobes to revive an individual who had been dead several hours. It was used on Neelix in 2374. VOY, Mortal Coil. A team led by 7 adapted a Borg design to contain and destroy omega molecules found in the Delta Quadrant in 2374. The molecules temporarily stabilized while in the chamber. 7 was the only one to see it happen, as the Borg considered the omega molecule to be perfection in its purest form, but had never been able to stabilize it. The former drone underwent what could be described as a religious experience when she saw omega spontaneously stabilize. VOY, the Omega Directive. 7 was part of the team which designed and built the Delta Flyer shuttlecraft in 2375. She developed Borg-based technology and weapons for it. VOY, Extreme Risk. 7 assisted in the construction of the quantum slipstream drive installed aboard Voyager in 2375. In an alternate timeline, the use of the drive destroyed the ship, killing her and everyone else aboard. However, just after the drive was activated, a signal from that timeline was received by 7 via her cortical implants. This signal contained phase corrections that, when used, collapsed the slipstream, eliminating that timeline and saving the ship and crew. VOY, Timeless. When Voyager crossed the territory of the anti-telepathic Devore in 2375, 7 helped develop a transporter suspension technique in order to hide telepathic crew members and Brennari refugees. VOY, Counterpoint. She also gave Voyager the possibility to use a transwarp coil, which was then used to save her from the Borg, and then to advance 20,000 light-years towards home. VOY, Dark Frontier. In 2376, 7 developed enhancements to her alcove that allowed her to process information and make connections between various events while she regenerated. This allowed 7 to deduce that photonic fleas had been degrading sensor efficiency and that a catapult built by an alien named Tash employed a Tetryon reactor like that of the Caretaker's array. However, the process overloaded her cortical implants, and she began drawing wild conclusions concerning Voyager's mission and crew. She convinced Chakotay that Voyager's presence in the Delta Quadrant was intentional and a prelude to a joint Federation/Cardassian invasion, while later telling Captain Janeway that Chakotay was organizing a Maquis rebellion, using technology of the Caretaker, to launch strikes on Federation and Cardassian targets. She then began to believe that Voyager was sent to the Delta Quadrant to retrieve her from the Borg Collective, and that she would be analyzed and dissected upon return to the Alpha Quadrant. She left the ship in the Delta Flyer, but Janeway was able to convince her that this conspiracy was only a delusion caused by her alcove enhancements. She returned to Voyager and the enhancements were removed. VOY, the Voyager conspiracy. A hologram of Reginald Barclay was transmitted to Voyager in early 2377. The hologram supposedly brought information to Voyager about using a geodesic fault to return the ship to the Alpha Quadrant. In reality, the hologram had been intercepted and reprogrammed by Ferengi, who wanted to harvest 7 of 9's nanoprobes and sell them for profit. Although the Holobarclay claimed modifications to the shields would protect Voyager while in the fold, 7 eventually discovered that the hologram was deceiving them. VOY, Inside Man. Moral conflicts. Voyager rescued a member of species 8472 from a hydrogen hunting party in mid-2374. Captain Janeway wanted to return the creature to its native fluidic space because it had told Tuvok of its plight telepathically. It meant no harm, and just wanted to go home. The hydrogen, however, wanted to hunt and kill it. They threatened to destroy Voyager unless the 8472 was returned to them. 7 felt that it should be surrendered in order to protect Voyager, but Captain Janeway strongly disagreed, saying that it was wrong to sacrifice another life form to save themselves. 7 refused to help open a quantum singularity into fluidic space to allow the 8472 to return to its realm, and Janeway confined her to the cargo bay. The Doctor needed nanoprobes to help treat the injured alien, and 7 was ordered to bring them to the Doctor so he could treat it. At the same time, a hydrogen hunter, who had been injured from his initial hunt of the 8472, and who the Doctor had been treating, attacked the 8472. 7 transported both the hydrogen and the species 8472 to a hydrogen vessel, which then retreated. Janeway was not happy with 7's conduct, and revoked most of her privileges until she proved trustworthy once again. 7 believed she was being punished for asserting her individuality and her personal beliefs, which the Voyager crew had fostered since she had been freed from the collective. VOY, Prey. Voyager encountered Enthran weapons broker Coven in 2374. 7 worked with him and viewed the weapons he offered to sell, but was very much uncomfortable around him. She later struck him in engineering. With the Doctor's help, 7 recovered memories which suggested Coven had assaulted her and stolen nanoprobes for use as weapons. Circumstantial evidence also supported her story, and Voyager tried to apprehend Coven. It is later determined that her memories were simply ones from her time as a Borg drone mixed with experiences of Coven. Unfortunately, Coven was killed when Voyager tried to contact him and tell him of his innocence. Both 7 and the Doctor experienced deep remorse over contributing to Coven's death. VOY, Retrospect. Working to contain the omega particles. When the omega particles were found in the Delta Quadrant, 7 held a certain fascination with them, since the Borg had tried, unsuccessfully, to stabilize the molecules. She believed they held the key to perfection, and that she would be able to use the Borg research to stabilize the molecules. However, Captain Janeway believed it was too risky, and the molecules were destroyed. They spontaneously stabilized shortly before being destroyed by Voyager. 7 witnessed this and experienced one of her first spiritual moments in the process. VOY, the Omega Directive. A race of bounty hunters known as the Hazari began attacking Voyager in 2375. A group of aliens called the Think Tank offered to help Voyager defeat the Hazari, but wanted 7 of 9 as payment. Kuros, a member of the Think Tank, tried to appeal to 7's quest for perfection and have her join willingly, but she declined his offer. Further investigation revealed that Kuros had hired the Hazari to attack Voyager for the express purpose of taking 7 of 9. The crew developed a plan with the Hazari, which involved 7 willingly joining the Think Tank. Once with them, she would disable systems aboard their vessel. Kuros sensed deception and forced 7 to link with the Think Tank's telepathic net. She overloaded the network as the link was established, disrupting the function of their entire ship. 7 was returned to Voyager as the think tank was overwhelmed with a Hazari attack squadron. VOY, think tank. In 2376, Voyager docked at a Marcanian outpost. While there, 7 of 9 encountered the group of drones which she had linked together 8 years prior. They had since been liberated from the collective, but were permanently linked due to 7's modifications. They attacked 7 in order to find out what she had done to them, but were stopped by Voyager. Security. 7 later voluntarily linked with the drones to retrieve the memories of the crash, but further damage was caused when the link was broken. Even though the drones were no longer connected to one another, all but 7 were left comatose. They needed their neural implants removed, but it would only give them a month to live. They could be saved if reassimilated into the Borg collective, but 7 decided that a brief life as an individual was much more valuable than eternal life as a drone, and she ordered the doctor to remove the implants. The former drones were still upset about the decision made by 7 8 years prior, but understood her reasons, and were grateful for their newfound freedom, however short. VOY, survival instinct. Also that year, 7 was part of an away team which discovered the Vodwar race, placed in stasis centuries prior. 7 was excited at the prospect of helping to rebuild a society in order to atone for the destruction she participated in while a member of the collective, and worked with the Vodwar to find them a new home. It was later determined that the Vodwar were warlike and hostile, and their awakening placed the region of space near their homeworld in great danger. 7 was upset that her intention to help may have caused further suffering. VOY, dragon's teeth. Again during the same year, 7 and an injured Tuvok were captured by Penk, a Norcadian who organized the spectator sport Sunkets, and 7 was forced to fight in the ring. After rescue, Tuvok thanked her for taking his place in a red match, and asked if she had recovered. 7 said that her victory only came from her loss of control, and worried that the 3 years she had spent regaining her humanity were lost in the ring. However, Tuvok pointed out that her feelings of guilt, shame and remorse meant that her humanity had been reaffirmed, not lost. VOY, Sunkets. 7 held hostage by Eco. In 2377, 7 became friends with an Aegean man named Eco, who had committed murder, and had been sentenced to death on his homeworld. Initially, Eco took 7 prisoner when he was beamed aboard Voyager, and made threats to the crew. He later became remorseful when his body and conscience were healed by 7's nanoprobes after he was severely beaten by Yedic, the prison warden, when he threatened his family. 7 tried to help him avoid his death sentence, but his crime could not be forgiven by the victim's family, and he was put to death. 7 was left troubled at the idea that Eco was executed for one murder, while she had never been punished for her own actions in the Borg, but Janeway assured her that her time in the collective was punishment enough. VOY, repentance. Dealings with the Borg. Stealing a transwarp coil. While transporting back to Voyager in 2375, a malfunction caused nanoprobes from 7's bloodstream to merge with the Doctor's mobile emitter. The nanoprobes quickly assimilated the advanced 29th century technology, and used genetic material from Mulchi to create an advanced Borg drone, with the emitter at its core. The drone lacked Borg programming, giving 7 the opportunity to communicate with him. She attempted to teach him to be an individual, and he was even given the name won by Neelix, but he wished to learn more about the Borg. Attempts to prevent the Borg from detecting one failed, and his attempts to modify Voyager's weapons to fight them proved insufficient. He transported aboard the Borg vessel, destroying it from within. His built-in shielding allowed him to survive the explosion badly injured, but he refused treatment and died in Voyager's sickbay to keep the crew safe from constant assimilation threats. 7 mourned him as if she had lost a son. VOY, drone. 7 in Unimatrix 0 as Annika Hansen. Later in 2375, Voyager's crew prepared for a daring raid on a damaged Borg sphere in order to steal a transwarp coil and substantially shorten their journey home. Seven was contacted by the Borg Queen, who revealed that she had set a trap for Voyager, and its crew would be assimilated if she did not return to the collective. Seven reluctantly agreed, learning that she was deliberately granted her freedom as part of a larger plan to assimilate humanity. Seven resisted the Queen's attempts to convince her to develop a nanoprobe virus, and was eventually rescued by Voyager's crew. VOY, Dark Frontier. In 2377 she discovered that she was one of a few Borg with a certain assimilation mutation that allowed them to retain their individuality while regenerating inside of an artificial construct known as Unimatrix Zero. Freed from the collective, she was once again contacted by the others inside. They were on the verge of being discovered and needed her help. With some assistance from Voyager's crew, the drones were given the ability to retain their individuality outside of the construct. This allowed them to launch an open revolt against the collective, plunging the collective into civil war. VOY, Unimatrix Zero, Part 2. Identity Crises. When the Hyrhfvn overtook Voyager in 2374 and used its crew and holodecks to conduct hunts, Seven was assigned the identity of Mademoiselle de Neuf, literally, Miss of Nine, in the French Resistance holoprogram. The Doctor was able to modify her Borg implants and restore her real identity without the Hyrhfvn knowing. She worked with the Doctor and Ensign Kim to stage a counterstrike against the Hyrhvvn and restore the identities of the rest of the crew. VOY, The Killing Game. Seven later modified explosives to emit a photonic burst which disabled holographic activity on part of the ship, a crucial event which allowed Captain Janeway to defeat the leader of the Hyrhvvn and return control of the ship to the Starfleet crew. VOY, The Killing Game, Part 2. One of Seven's personalities, eating like a Klingon. Seven was stricken with something akin to a multiple personality disorder in 2375, when Voyager neared a vinculum infected with a synthetic pathogen by species 6339. Several personalities, including Starfleet officers, a Klingon warrior, a Vulcan official, a Krenim scientist, a Ferengi trader, a woman trying to find her son aboard the USS Melbourne at the Battle of Wolf 359, and a frightened young child, emerged. These turned out to be personalities of individuals assimilated by Seven, and it was soon made clear the malfunctions in her implants were precisely what species 6339 wished to inflict on the rest of the collective. The personalities began to take over Seven, and her own individuality was lost. How much do you know about First Contact Day? We're giving away $350 in gift cards at the Star Trek shop and more. Take this quiz before noon HST on May 5, 2021 for your chance to win. Enter now. Advertisement. Memory Alpha. 50,897 pages. Add new page. Portals. 22nd and 23rd century. 24th century. Memory Alpha. Explore. Discuss. In Memory Alpha featured articles, Humans, USS Voyager Personnel. And 2 more. 7 of 9. English. View source. Share. Multiple realities, covers information from several alternate timelines.
Seven of Nine is a fictional character introduced in the American science fiction television series Star Trek, Voyager. Portrayed by Jeri Ryan, she is a former Borg drone who joins the crew of the Federation starship Voyager. Her full Borg designation was 7 of 9, tertiary adjunct of Unimatrix 01, while her birth name became known to her crewmates. After joining the Voyager crew, she chose to continue to be called Set. More than 20 years after the finale of Voyager, Seven is a member of the Fenris Rangers, a peacekeeping organization active near the former Romulan neutral zone. Contents: 1. Casting and filming. 1.1 Attire and filming issues. 2. Appearances. 2.1 Background. 2.2 Star Trek, Voyager. 2.2.1 Joining the crew in Scorpion. 2.2.2 Relationships. 2.3 Star Trek, Picard. 2.4 Novels, comics and video games. 3 Reception. 3.1 Themes. 3.2 Award and nominations. 4 See also. 5 Citations. 6 References. 7 External links. Of survival instinct, the link is terminated, causing each of the former Borg to be predicted to die within a month. Star Trek, Picard. 7 of 9 appeared as a recurring character in Star Trek. Picard. Ryan notes her portrayal is much more human and developed a new speaking cadence to reflect the character's 2 decades living on Earth. In 2386, 9 years after the USS Voyager returned to Earth, 7's surrogate son Icheb was abducted by Borg harvesters. 7 attempted to rescue him but arrived too late, finding him mortally wounded. Icheb died in 7's arms after she acceded to his request to mercy kill him. At some point 7 joined the Fenris Rangers, a peacekeeping organization active near the former Romulan neutral zone. In 2399 7 encounters Jean-Luc Picard and the crew of La Sirena en route to the planet Freya Cloud. 7 assists Picard in his attempt to rescue Dr. Bruce Maddox from Jazel, a criminal businesswoman, by offering herself as bounty. It is revealed that 7's true intentions are to kill Jazel, who was responsible for Icheb's death. Picard believes he is able to talk 7 out of killing Jazel, and they return to La Sirena with Maddox. She and Picard discuss their mutual difficulty regaining their humanity after being assimilated by the Borg, and she disembarks under the pretense of rejoining the Rangers, but actually transports back to the surface and vaporizes Jazel. 7 arrives at the artifact, a disabled Borg cube captured by the Romulans, after being summoned by Picard's companion Elner. To save the former Borg on board from execution at the hands of the Romulans, she temporarily connects herself to the cube inside the Queencell, taking on the role of a Borg queen. She does this despite concern about keeping control.